Thank you to Kettering University and Stryker Careers for their continued support. Learn more at the end of this video. Welcome to the Fun Show. I'm Tyler. My pronouns are he, him. Today, co-hosts Ari and I are featuring our friends of LGBTQ plus of FIRST with the topic of inclusion and respect for your team members and for others, and of course, FIRST and the general community. As this video releases, competition season is fast approaching, and we hope that all team members, including students, mentors, and parents of teams, will take the time to make sure that their team is a safe and welcoming environment for not only your team members, but also members of the greater community as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Ari and my pronouns are they, them. FIRST puts emphasis on inclusion in its programs, and while improvements have been made and awareness has increased, there is still more that all of us can be doing to create a welcoming environment. Today, we'll be discussing inclusion and respect within your team, and also while at competition and engaging with members of other teams. To provide their insight, we have invited members from the LGBTQ plus of FIRST community. LGBTQ plus of FIRST is a student-run organization that advocates awareness and acceptance of LGBTQ plus students, mentors, and volunteers of FIRST Robotics. From LGBTQ plus of FIRST, we have Maya, Tessa, and Devin. Welcome. Why don't you give us an introduction and tell us a bit more about what you do? Maya, why don't you start us off?
Hello, my name is Maya. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a student administrator for LGBTQ plus of FIRST. And student administrators kind of oversee the organization and all operations and such. On my own team, I'm also the director of software.
Nice, very cool. Tessa.
Hi, I'm Tessa. My pronouns are she, her, and I am also a student administrator, and I am the co-lead of FRC Team 1002.
Very cool. All right, and finally, last but not least, Devin.
And my name is Devin. My pronouns are he, him. I'm also a student administrator, and on my own team, I am in charge of all of the business and awards.
Well, welcome to everybody. We're excited to have you all on and have a great discussion talking about, of course, with competitions come up, everything that we can do to make sure things are a respectful and inclusive place. LGBTQ of FIRST, by the way, has a great website. We just showed it a moment ago, and also a Discord as well, too, for those who want to get involved. Does anybody mind just telling a little bit more of where they can go to check out the website and the Discord or and anything else that LGBTQ plus of FIRST has going on?
So our website is the LGBTQ plus of FIRST, and our Discord, you can just type in discord.lgbtqplusoffirst.com and it'll bring you right there. We also have an Instagram, a Facebook, and a Twitter, I think are our main active ones.
And then you also have on AndyMark as well, too, the LGBTQ plus lapel pin that's also available that you can get at AndyMark. Where do those proceeds go to? How does that work?
So the proceeds go to a wonderful organization called the Rainbow STEM Alliance, and they sort of help us to spread to distribute these beautiful lapel pins and to get us the resources we need to operate.
Very cool. And then there's, I also know, not directly affiliated, but those interested on AndyMark's website as well, too, there are also pronoun pins. Help support funds towards the Rainbow STEM Alliance as well. So Rainbow STEM Alliance is different than LGBTQ plus of FIRST, right? Like, how does that work in the difference between it? Is LGBTQ plus of FIRST for just students only, and Rainbow STEM Alliance is a different organization? Kind of how does that dynamic work?
So the Rainbow STEM Alliance, it is run by John Kentfield. He is a FIRST alumni, and he helps to distribute the pronoun pins, the lapel pins to all of our staff members and partner teams, and they basically help us fundraise and all of that sort of stuff that we can't really handle as students.
Sure.
The LGBTQ plus of FIRST does have some adults involved in us, but our administration is entirely students.
That's awesome. I love, involving bringing in students, because there's so much where it's very, still, even though FIRST is a program for students, right, a lot of stuff is very adult driven for things. So to bring in students into involved as well too, I think adds in that whole dynamic of inclusiveness as well too. Well, great culture starts within the program at the base level of one's own team, of course. And FIRST has also made equity, diversity, and inclusion a big topic of focus moving forward, including hiring positions to make that super important as well. So we'll kind of do a nice roundtable here. What are some top tips that teams should consider implementing to create not just an inclusive environment, but to take more of a proactive approach of creating the right environment for those in the LGBTQ plus community? How can a team set the right tone for students, mentors, and parents as well?
I think it's really important that teams make sure to establish from day one that their team is a place where everybody is welcome and where students can feel included and can learn regardless of their gender or their sexuality. I think it's really important that stuff like pronouns are made a part of like icebreaker activities. I also think it's really important that especially mentors and student leaders take an active role and are able to call out bad behavior, not in a mean way, but I think it's important that they're able to explain, what inclusive behavior is and what behavior isn't inclusive and why.
Yeah, and also with just like asking for people's pronouns if before referring to them, and also like in places like Slack, there is a wonderful section of the profile section where you can have a little pronoun field so that you can easily keep track of pronouns.
I do want to ask a follow up on that. So you said in regards to asking pronouns. So can you give maybe an example? What would be a great way if you're meeting somebody for the first time that you might approach and ask a question like that?
Yeah. So one example is, "Hi, I'm Tessa. I use she, her pronouns. What are your pronouns?"
So starting out and introducing yourself with your pronouns first, and then asking, that would be an appropriate way to do something like that.
Yes.
Very cool. I really appreciate that insight, Tessa. Thank you so much. Devin, anything that you'd like to add? Some tips for culture in regards to your own team as well?
Mostly just making sure whoever you're talking to is comfortable and that they know that you're a safe place, that you're someone they can talk to about any questions they might have, or like anything they might want to talk to a trusted adult about, or a peer, and making sure that you can have conversations about things that might be a tough conversation with most people.
Yeah, those tough conversations are one of the things that you really need to establish as a team. One of those things that you really need to read up on. So where could someone who wants to read up on those type of things find some resources? Is there a website or something else that you would recommend?
A few of our staff members did write blog posts on the First Inspires blog over the summer. So there are a few of those.
And then how about on your website as well too? Are there any particular resources on your website, or is most of the stuff kind of in regards to go to your Discord to provide that sort of environment?
We do have a resources page, and I believe it has websites like GLAD. I believe it has websites like GLAD, Out in STEM. And I mean, there are a lot of resources, especially for LGBTQ plus youth in general, especially if they're struggling with a less inclusive environment.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's really important to bear in mind as we enter the competition season. And many of us are starting to interact back in person for the first time. So how can competition coordinators and volunteers and also attendees make sure that we are all welcome and promote an environment where we have fun?
I think, again, when you're meeting someone, asking for their pronouns, or just introducing yourself with your pronouns if you don't want to necessarily put the expectation on them to introduce themselves that way, which can be good for trans people who might be closeted and don't want to publicly state what their pronouns are. Also, if someone asks you at a competition not to use their name or pronouns in the stands because of parents or mentors who might be around, making sure to respect that.
One of the things I want to bring up is I attended a convention a few months ago, which was BGG Con, a big board game convention that happened. And one of the things that I really thought was fantastic is that they actually gave you the option to wear badge ribbons that had your choice of pronouns on that. And I thought that, to me, I haven't seen that at any other events before for that. The lapel pins you can wear and stuff too, but this only is kind of hard to see those sometimes at a large scale. Has LGBTQ plus of FIRST looked at addressing, trying to make change in regards to how competitions are ran to provide more of that inclusive environment? And just give me an example of something like the badge ribbons.
I know we have had badge ribbons at our world championships before. Also through the Rainbow STEM Alliance has coordinated that for us. I'm not sure if we're going to continue those with the lapel pins or not, but I think that is the plan.
It's a good opt-in system where you're dedicating your pronouns and you don't feel forced in the situation, instead of kind of like an opt-out where you feel required to say your pronouns.
The LGBTQ plus of FIRST as well too has done meetups at the championships as well. Can you talk a little bit about some of the past meetups that you've done, and is there any plans to have that for this year's championship as well?
Yeah, so definitely in the past we've had these meetups. Basically, it's a room in Champs that you go to, and you just meet all these wonderful people. I personally haven't been to any meetups, but basically they're in an unmarked room so that closeted people can feel free to go to them without basically showing that they're actually going to it. But it's really great opportunity, as I've heard, and yeah.
Will you be doing anything at the regional level? Some teams don't have the opportunity to go to champs.
Our partner teams, some of them are required to have an event at some point throughout the season. So there are going to be some regionals that would have like a meetup or a roundtable or something like that, but not all of them. It really just depends on whether or not there is a partner team in your area.
Maya, anything to add on for that at all?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. Some of our partner teams do host official LGBTQ plus of FIRST meetups, and those could be a really great experience to meet up with other people who are, also in the LGBTQ plus community in FIRST, and who kind of share your passion for STEM as well.
One of the things I want to ask is you mentioned there are some events that happen at a regional level or local level for that. Can you describe a little bit more like what takes place in that? How would somebody know that might be happening, or how can they get involved as well?
In my experience, I've only ever been to regional roundtables, which basically there was a room that there were signs around the competition that pointed you to a room number to go to, but the room itself wasn't marked as like a specific LGBTQ plus a FIRST thing. And then there was just a bunch of tables that were lined up in a circle, and we just had a discussion a lot like this about how you could include people more on your team and how to make changes to be more inclusive.
Ari, is there anything from you attending events that you'd like to see done more, or how can we scale this to, be something that, there's a lot of times a lot of talk for things, right? And action does happen, but there's always can be more. So how do we start to scale this? How do we bring this to a bigger scale and make it not just a talking subject, but something that is just embedded in what the culture of teams are and the culture of what events and what FIRST is?
So from my experience, and I've been with the program for a while now. I'm not going
Yeah.
to do that math on the spot. Going on, I think, 7 years. But within that time, there's been a lot of growth from the community, including the starting of this LGBT plus Q plus of FIRST group. And that in itself and their partner teams have really brought a lot of visibility and inclusion to the program itself. So growing that part of the program, growing the visibility, and also growing what FIRST is doing in order to give us diversity and equity trainings is a huge portion of making sure that this awareness is growing at a steady rate and that we're willing to accept it in the community. In addition to that, something that people can do at competitions just by themselves, not as a coordinated effort, is we're seeing a lot more active bystanders in the community now, mostly because people are being trained in that in their schools and in their communities. But it's being able to recognize that a situation that might be uncomfortable for someone is happening and intervene. Those are both really important things in order to have our community grow and acceptance grow at the same time.
Before we wrap up, one of the last things I do want to point out is if you do go over to the FIRST website, there is a section for, of course, equity, diversity, and inclusion. But also importantly as well, too, there is a reporting portal as well, where if you feel that something needs to be reported and needs to get to Manchester and HQ, you can click on that link to report a concern. So, be aware as well, too. We want to provide that safe environment where, once again, everybody can have fun. Everybody can just be part of a team, right? Like that's what we want to be here for. It's just to be part of FIRST and to make sure that everybody feels like they're supposed to belong for things. But, if anything does come up and you need to take steps for it, please report a concern on the FIRST website. That's under About and Diversity and Inclusion, where you can click that report a concern and, of course, get other great resources as well, too, from equity, diversity, and inclusion as well. Well, Maya, Tessa, and Devin, thank you so much once again coming in from LGBTQ plus of FIRST for your program's dedication to acceptance and awareness in our community, of course, in FIRST, but as a whole as well, too. I know it's made me a better person, and I have a lot more to go, as I continue being in this program for so long. Now I feel like that first boomer who needs to continually learn more and more, and LGBTQ plus at FIRST has been a great resource for me to learn more. So thank you for that as well. And of course, thank you to co-host Ari for providing insight and leading the show as well, too. Students and mentors, bring this up with your team. Spread a positive culture in FIRST and beyond. We need to do better. We can do better at creating an environment where everyone feels welcome and feels themselves as well, too. So thank you for all the hard work for everybody, what you're doing. Think about how we can do more and, more importantly, act on it as well, too. Thanks for watching fun. Keep an eye out for all the other fun content coming up through this season. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Thanks to Kettering University for their support of this video. Over 1/3 of Kettering's current students are former robotics team members. Go pro at Kettering University and get a free t-shirt. Students in grades 8 through 12 and located in the continental US, scan the QR code and complete the form by the date on screen and receive more information about Kettering. Thanks to Stryker Careers for their support in this video. FIRST alumni and mentors are making Stryker a top priority for their internships and careers. That's because Stryker knows that those in FIRST are the leaders and innovators of tomorrow. If you want to help make the world a better place by creating life-saving medical devices and technology, get started at careers.stryker.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/FirstUpdatesNow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/FirstUpdatesNow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.